again to another episode of Blam Truckers. I'm Blam Trucker, otherwise known as Buse.
Blam Trucker. I guess that makes me Blam Trucker Bees, coming at you loud and clear over the high-fi waves of the internet.
And,
Blam Trucker.
as most of you may know, we are just a couple of friends, been friends for decades at this point,
Oh, yeah.
who decided to do a podcast together, trying to focus more on the positive side of geekdom. So our Bees is our creative
Anybody can
director.
go negative. Anybody can.
I know I can.
Oh, I definitely can. But Bees is our creative director, and what is our topic for this short episode?
Our topic is our second favorite Star Trek episode. That's right, our second favorite Star Trek episode. Because, well, you know your friends when you have the same favorite Star Trek episode.
Especially when your friend introduced you to that
Yes.
favorite Star Trek episode.
Yes.
And in this case, Bees introduced me to it.
And he's the trucker. We're both truckers, but he's more of a Trekkie than I am.
And yeah, I hadn't really gotten into Deep Space Nine, and I kind of started watching it, and I think I didn't watch it until after all he did. And we've talked about it on a previous episode, but that episode may not be released yet, and this will be released before then. But long story short, In the Pale Moonlight, the final speech in the Pale Moonlight is all Bees had me watch. And that made me
Avery Brooks
watch. Yeah, Avery Brooks is fantastic. I remember him from, what was it, Hunter back in the day?
I don't know. I know him from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I don't know if you've heard of that series.
But yeah, he's a fantastic actor. And that one speech at the end of it, that made me watch Deep Space Nine. Like, I was going to eventually anyways. And I think I didn't start until after you had shown that to me. But if I had started beforehand, I was having a hard time. But knowing that was coming,
yeah,
made me go through.
The series had a hard time finding its feet when it first started.
But so did Next Generation.
Yeah, that didn't stop. Most TV shows do. Very few TV shows start off strong and finish strong. I can't even think of one. Anyway, I'm sure, given time, not off the top of my head, I could think of one or two, but
Game of Thrones.
I didn't watch it.
Kidding. I'm kidding, anyways.
Boy, that ending! I don't know if anybody would agree with you on the ending. So, yeah. There's even saying, Deep Space Nine didn't start off strong. Rewatching it, some of the best episodes are in the first season. So amazing. The first appearance of Garrick, for instance. Just fantastic. He's a Cardassian spy who's stuck on the station after the Cardassians, who are the main enemies of the series, leave the Bajor system. Anyway, not to get too bogged down into it. So since we both have the same favorite episode, which I highly recommend, Season 6, Episode 19, In the Pale Moonlight, Buse, why don't you tell them what your second favorite episode is? Because you already know what my second favorite episode is.
It would almost be a tie, but Drumhead in Next Generation edges it out. So for those of you who haven't watched this episode, or maybe just need a quick refresher, Drumhead...
Most people don't know TV show episodes by the title.
A lot of people who watch Trek do.
A lot of Trekkies do, yeah, but... I hate that. We're diverging. You're not going to believe this. We're going down a rabbit hole. I hate it when I'm watching a commentary and people are listing off episodes, and that's all they say is they name the episode. And I'm like, I don't know the names of the episodes. Like, I was watching a Castle. Was it Castle? It was something with Nathan Fillion in it, and he's in an interview, and it was him and a director or something, and they're going back and forth and just naming off the names of episodes, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I feel lost. So tell us about Drumhead on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
So long story short, the episode pretty much begins with like like I think part of the exchange program. There was a Klingon on board, and there was an issue which happened on board, which looked like sabotage. They found out that he was selling stuff to the Romulans, so they assumed that he had something to do with the sabotage, but he couldn't have done it alone.
Hmm.
And during the investigation, because of how deep it went, they brought in this Starfleet admiral out of retirement, Nora Satie, whose father was known as this great legendary judge. And she is like known as like one of the greatest investigators in Federation history. She has her own team, and she's pretty much considered equal to Picard when it comes to doing this, because Starfleet said you have to treat the captain of the ship this is happening on as an equal, which she didn't like, but she was okay with Picard at first, and they start questioning people. And Picard notices that they're questioning people a little harder than he'd like, but he kind of lets it go. Worf is all on board, and they start going through, and then they can't quite find anyone who directly worked with this Klingon, but they are, seeing all these links and making all these links and stuff, and in the end, they're questioning this one guy, a Vulcan, Simon Tarses. Yes, I know the names of these people. It's my second favorite episode.
I'm willing to guess you've watched this episode one time?
Yeah, just once.
Two
Or
times.
maybe six.
200 times.
But anyways, we find out that he lied about being part Vulcan. He's actually part Romulan, and he lied just so that he could get into Starfleet.
How dare
because
he?
because he thought he would be discriminated against, because Romulans are kind of at war with the Federation.
Only kind of.
Anyways, because of that, the Admiral feels that things are going even deeper, and then because Picard is like, no, you're kind of getting to the point of a witch hunt, she then accuses Picard because, well, you used to be a Borg, and you've done all of these things over the course of time, things that maybe people looked at as a bit more innocent, but, you broke the Prime Directive here, you gave up secrets here, whether it was, even though it was like an accident or everybody knows what happened, especially us as viewers because we watched the episode.
Doesn't she know he did this in the name of good television?
Exactly. But and it kind of goes through, and that's pretty much it. And you know am I giving stuff about the episode away? Yes. Is it still worth watching? Yes. And the reason I like it is because it's one of those episodes which kind of, it almost, I don't watch Law and Order, but based on the way it's been described to me, this felt like an episode of Law and Order: The Next Generation, pretty much, because we had
Maybe you should
kind
watch
of like
Law and Order.
a semi-legal, like a legal drama portion of it, as well as the investigatory part of it, and just Picard gave one of his really good speeches at the end of the episode, and it was great. So that's my second favorite episode.
Mm-hmm.
What's yours?
It's going to sound like a cop-out, but my second favorite episode is the very next episode after In the Pale Moonlight. It's called His Way. It is the story of how Odo, the shape-shifting outsider, finally wins the heart of Kira Nerys, the Bajoran ex-terrorist turned military major. And it's the introduction of the character Vic Fontaine, who was, I want to say, was Moondog in the Gidget movies, I think, but you can look in IMDb for Vic Fontaine from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. You can just Google that and see who the actor was. But he's from that, his heyday was in that time period, and he's a lounge singer in a Vegas act on the Holosuite. A brand new program. He's more human than any other hologram that's ever been made. Blah blah blah. And He's got additional abilities that other holograms don't have because he's semi sentient or more advanced, or they never really get into it. And I'm glad they don't because it's part of the sci fantasy experience. And he's just fantastic in every episode you see him in. Um, well-trained actor, lots of experience under his belt. He's the oldest cast member at that point, and he wasn't a full cast member. He was a guest star, but he was in a lot of episodes. And this is season 6.
Hmm.
The series only lasted seasons. But what I liked about the episode was, as much as I enjoy Vic Fontaine, and I do, what a voice that guy has. And singing all those songs from the Rat Pack era, talking about Sam and Sammy and Dino and Frankie. Actually, I think he just calls him Frank. Anyway, what I really liked about the episode had nothing to do with Vic Fontaine. Well, it does. He's part of the plot, but it's Odo coming out of his shell. And this guy he stands in, this shapeshifter, this outsider, stands in for every geek guy who's ever tried to woo a girl and didn't know how to do it. Every outsider who doesn't know the rules of how to just be cool and relaxed and what love is all about. It's probably the best episode in all of television that talks about what relationships are really about. If not the best, it's in the top 100. If not, I'd put it in the top 10, but I haven't seen every episode that ever came out of television. Um, and he goes to Vic for advice, and Vic's the one who just teaches him to relax, have a good time. It's not about who else she's interested in, what other relationships she's been in the past, what other guys she's seen. Guys, it's about being yourself. And if you like each other, great. And if you don't, that's fine. We've mentioned this in passing here, but most relationships are really about finding somebody you like talking to. Because most of the time in a relationship, as my married friend here will tell you, is spent talking.
My wife is my best friend.
Yeah. Um, find somebody you like talking to and could talk to forever. And that's not how you feel when you're, getting all the hormones of teenagerhood coming into your body, of adolescence coming into your body, and you see this girl and she's so pretty and smart and funny, and she says all these things and they're amazing, and wow, I feel incredibly crushing on her because my heart is going a million miles an hour when I see her and I don't even know what to say or how to say it, and I can't think in this moment. Which is pretty much how Odo felt whenever he was around Kira or Nerys or whatever you want to call her, and so the Major. So yeah, Vic gets him past that. And as a guy who's taken a few cues in my younger days from television on how to woo a woman, for the most part, don't do that. Television is not about real life. Television is no. Because you think it'd be cool to be the say anything guy holding up your boombox outsider. You're not. You're just an
More
idiot.
important, don't give other people advice on how to woo women based off of television. As my wife will also tell you, when I gave advice to one of my friends who was trying to woo her before I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, um, it's not about the big gesture. Um, relationships are less about that for the most part. There's exceptions than they are about having somebody you want to spend time with, that you enjoy being around. And this is the one TV episode that I would recommend to people who actually want to take advice from television on how to get out of the friend zone, become more than just friends, is relax, be cool around her, and learn how to be yourself around the girl, and vice versa. You don't have to, girls, you don't have to. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but so many television shows tell girls to hide their crazy. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to hide whatever you're scared of the guy finding out. Either he's going to accept you for who you are, or he's not. Guys, same thing. Either you don't have to hide you're crazy either. Either she's going to accept you for who you are, or she's not. It's not the end of the world. There are other fish in the sea, and if this isn't the right one, that's okay.
Would you rather be in a long-term relationship where you're having to hide who you are? Because that becomes really stressful after a while, from personal experience.
Yeah.
You
You, yeah,
you want
no.
someone who you like B said, you just want someone you can be yourself with. And you know what? We're all a little bit crazy. So oftentimes our crazies can complement each other as long as we know it's there.
Yeah. So that's my second favorite episode. Fuse's second favorite episode. You want to wrap it? These 15-minute segments go by so fast. And to think we
They
were going to try
do.
and keep this to 10.
Yeah, I
Um,
I think I think up to
20.
20 is fine. But
Anything you want to
no,
add? I,
only thing I want to add is I mentioned briefly that it was close to a three-way tie. I like the more legal oriented episodes just because, as Bees knows, that's kind of part of my personality and something I wish I had kind of gone into a bit more in my real life. But Measure of a Man, which is Data on trial as to whether or not he is a living being
hmm
or sentient being, and Author, which in Voyager is it's similar to Measure of a Man, but it is whether or not Voyager's doctor, who is a hologram, has legal rights over his actual created works because he created holodeck programs and people, I think somebody tried to steal credit for them because, well, he's just a hologram, so yada yada yada. And yeah, so that I'm just gonna add those in just because I can. And I recommend, in general, I recommend many episodes of at least the newer, not new Trek, but the mid Treks. So the Next Generation
the
Treks.
three
I
seven series series, or do you want to throw Enterprise in there too?
Enterprise I enjoyed, but I understand why some people didn't. Uh, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine are probably
They're probably the
Strange New
two
World.
best Star Trek series.
Strange New Worlds is getting up there for me. I
Hmm.
love Lower Decks as well, but I Next Generation and Deep Space Nine are very good. They both start out slow, but they pick up really well, and they've got like decent moral messaging in them as well, which is somewhat important for me. Uh, but yeah, I would highly recommend them. I'd recommend most Trek. Bees and I may disagree a little bit on some of these, but even a lot of the newer Trek, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, I just finished the first season of Prodigy. All of these are pretty decent. Um, and yeah, have fun with them.
All right.
But in general, you
On
like what
that
you
note,
like. We are going to drop off this mini episode. So we'll see you, truckers and
I,
bees.
I
Go ahead.
yeah, I know. I got to get in there. If anybody knows anybody over at WB for DC for accepting movie pitches, I'd love to pitch a movie for the DC movies. So give them my link them here, and hopefully we'll be able to get in touch. Because hey, I know what I like. I hope I know what you guys like, and I'd like to make more of it for you guys.
All right.
All
Well,
right,
we'll see you, truckers.
keep on trucking, you blam blam truckers.